Welcome.
Welcome to the Haunted Tales. How are you all tonight?
Great.
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So glad that those of you who are in the audience are in the audience. I see that numbers are popping in and out. If you're having trouble getting on one of the Facebooks, just go to another Facebook or go to our YouTube. Tonight we're broadcasting on Tampa Bay Spirits Facebook, Meet the Author podcast Facebook, Meet the Author podcast I'm YouTube, and also Robin Joan Facebook. Let's see. CW Hawes said, howdy, y'all.
Hello, CW.
Hi,
Hey.
CW.
Hello.
Joe Conjal
Hey, Joe.
says, looking forward to this. Hi, Robin Joan. We're so glad that you're here and that you are looking forward to it. We're glad that you joined us.
We should tell everybody about the hashtag things too.
Oh, we need to tell you a couple of things right away, those of you in the audience. Okay, you want to read that?
Yeah, everybody watching on the Tampa Bay Spirits Facebook group page. If you're watching on that one, you need, in order to be eligible for the drawings tonight, we're going to give away some swag. You have to grant StreamYard permission to use your name at the StreamYard.com/Facebook.
That's only if you're watching on Tampa Bay Spirits, because it is a group Facebook.
Right. But if you're on LinkedIn, Meet the Author podcast, or Facebook, or YouTube, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to worry about that.
But there's something else you're going to have to do if you want to be in the giveaways, and that you have to put hashtag ghost in your comments, and you only have to do it on one comment for each drawing. Okay.
There'll be 3 drawings throughout the hour.
Right. We're going to give away some stickers. We're going to give away some magnets and a coffee mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all really cool. Oh, we can show our stuff. That's a sticker.
Woohoo.
So maybe the team members that are here can introduce themselves.
That's a coffee mug.
Maybe put the coffee mug.
And that's a magnet.
And the team members, Kathy, you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, my name's Kathy. My first time doing any of the podcast things, so a little awkward, but I'm here.
You're doing just fine.
And Jessie?
I'm Jessie, also my first time, and I'm always awkward, so you're in good company.
And then the founders of our whole thing are Les and Beth. You want to introduce yourselves?
Hey,
She's Beth.
this is Les.
Thanks, Les. But one thing we didn't tell you, you guys are the founders, and we were established in 1891.
Wow.
We're looking good.
I was there.
Yeah, you're doing
Very
good.
good. Wait a minute, we've got a few more. This is a Facebook user. Okay, now because you don't have your name on, I can tell you who says, hi, everybody. I know that you are on our Tampa Bay Spirits Facebook. So, Rob, you want to explain again what?
Yes, if you read the bottom thing here, you have to give permission to StreamYard in order for them to put your name and your little icon up there. And I mean, you can make the comments. We're not going to know who you are, and you won't be eligible for the drawings because the drawings won't pick you up. It's a Facebook group thing, is what it is. Because if you're on the Tampa Bay Spirits group page, then you have to do this.
Only on that page.
Yeah.
Because it's a group page. Okay. This
It's kinda
Facebook
confusing.
user says, okay, I'm here. You have my permission to begin. But we don't know who you are. And I'd really like you to be able to win a mug or something like that.
I would
So
like to know who
just
we're
quickly
talking to.
go over to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give them permission to use your name on our podcast.
Right.
And
I love that energy, though.
I love the
Isn't
energy
that great?
too. It's
Yeah.
great. It says, hi,
They're
everyone.
giving us permission.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. And this space, I wish I knew where you are because you're okay. I'm never
It
sure
sounds like Chris Christmas.
where I
to
am.
me, but
It
maybe
does
not.
sound,
Could be George.
it could be George.
Yeah.
No, if George were here, he'd be on the our podcast.
George, there is George.
Oh, George, sweetie.
Switch over to the Meet the Author page.
George, why don't you go on our Meet the Author page? Then you don't have to give
Yeah, then you don't have to
permission.
worry about it.
I know you said that we have your permission, but we don't need your permission. StreamYard does, and you have to go to streamyard.com
It's a StreamYard
/Facebook and give your permission. So just switch over to our page and then we'll know. I'm so glad you're here, George. Anyway, go.
Come back. Come back. Though. Come back.
Yeah, come back.
Go. Come back. Go.
Yes,
Okay.
there is a lot of good energy. I thought maybe before we brought
Hey,
Paul Hollis. Hey, Paul Hollis says he's been StreamYarded.
Are you okay?
Are you all right, Paul? Yes.
Did you
Sounds
survive
painful.
it?
Oh my goodness.
A lot of these people are so funny that I am pretty sure that they are from our regular audience on our podcast,
Could be very well be.
because we have a great audience. Okay.
So Jesse, you're an investigator, right?
I think
With
so.
Tampa Bay Spirits.
Yes, you are, Jesse.
And
Marjorie Deering's here, and she said
Hey,
she's
Marjorie.
been StreamYarded. Yay,
Hi,
Marjorie.
Hello.
and Kathy, what do you do with Tampa Bay Spirits?
I am also an investigator, and I'm a sensitive.
Sensitive, okay.
Mhm.
And
Jesse is also a sensitive.
Jesse, you're sensitive also, right?
And Beth and
I
Les,
suppose
you want to
so.
say kind of what you do? Yeah, I'm very sensitive. Be careful of my feelings.
I'm Beth, and I'm a sensitive also investigator. And Les is our comic relief
This is true.
Yeah.
and tech.
And tech.
And
I carry all of
main
that.
our main tech guy, the go-to guy.
My handler.
That's more like it.
I
Yeah.
do tech, and I'm an investigator.
Mhm.
And you're
And I'm an investigator, and I'm also a sensitive. I'm what they call an intuitive sensitive. As I know these other girls, and they are also intuitive sensitives. And if there's any questions that you want to ask, please ask away. If you want to know about any of the instruments we use or how we conduct an investigation, I'm in interview mode for podcasts. If you want to know how we conduct an investigation, ask that. If you have questions about things that maybe are happening in your house. Okay, here's a question from CW. This is a CW question for sure. He said, are more women sensitive than men? Anyone want to take that?
I think that no, I think men are just as sensitive as women. But one thing that we have found is that men are not as interested in investigating and are not as interested in the paranormal in many cases. And I believe that stems from they feel like they have to protect. And as a protector, it's hard to protect something you can't see. And I think men struggle with that from time to time.
In my opinion is that we can all be sensitives. We can all tune into psychic. I really think that. I think that it's like anything. You can learn to sing, but you may never be an opera singer because that was how they were gifted. But you can definitely learn to sing and carry a note. Same with drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I know that I struggle sometimes with being closed, and I'm not as open to what's going on in the spirit realm or whatever you want to call it. And I shut myself down, because you can do that. You can shut it down so that you're not constantly hearing things or hearing people or seeing things, because that makes shopping in a shopping mall very difficult. So you can shut it down. And I really do think anyone, if they spend some time at it, can open themselves up, and they can see and hear things. So no, I don't think women are more sensitive, intuitively sensitive, or have precognition. Or I mean, I know that I want to learn how to do psychometry, and I really suck at it, but I'm not sure how to open myself up to that. But so far, I'm betting 0 at being able to do it.
Plus,
But-
anybody that wants to be included in the first drawing should put out on your next post, or make a comment and put #ghost.
Mhm.
Okay. and
Or
go
do
ahead- go ahead
hashtag ghost and make
and
a
make
comment.
a comment if you want.
And Paul Hollis had said yes, all of that. So that means he wants to know all of that, about what it's like and what kind of instruments we use and that kind of how we conduct an investigation. And CW Hawes says super thanks. So
Hey,
now
you're in
okay.
the right place.
Okay, George, now we need you to make another comment and put a hashtag, a pound symbol, a pound sign, and ghost. We're really making you jump through your hoops, George. I'm sorry.
But you have to do it while you're standing on your head, so that makes it complicated.
Take that comment down. So,
What
okay,
comment?
that one.
Take it down.
Yes. Because he doesn't have hashtag.
Oh, that's okay. It won't hurt anything. It's not going to
Okay.
void him out. There we go. You got it. And there you go, Paul Hollis. You got it too. You guys are rolling there.
Yeah. Damn hashtag ghost.
This is
Paul Hollis says hashtag
So close.
I'm a ghost today. Yay, good guys. Joe Conchel says, question, what is the scariest encounter or place you've ever investigated? We'll answer that in a second because Marjorie Deering said, pay attention, George. We love George. We absolutely love George. Okay. Scariest encounter or place you've investigated. All right, Kathy, you want to tell us your scariest time?
I don't know if I've had a really scary time.
Yeah.
Usually I'm just kind of, it's always startling. It never ceases to amaze me and kind of startle me and take me aback. But I don't know if I've ever really been frightened. I've just been, surprised and startled and that kind of thing. And then, did I see that? Did I, but I've never been in a very scary situation.
How about you, Beth and Les?
I would agree that I've been startled many times. And I think that one of the places that we visited had a lot of bugs and rats, and I think that was the scariest I've been place.
I have to agree. I'm more afraid of running into a rat or a raccoon or a bat, or spiders dropping off the ceiling, and startled when we all, because we investigate together, we all know that we all go, did you hear that? Or did you see that? Because it's fun. It's exciting, but it's not scary. Sometimes it's startling when a door slams right in your ear, bam, and no door actually slammed. It's a little startling, but not scary. I have gotten sick someplace because of the presence. It made me sick.
I think too, I agree with what everybody said. Like I've been creeped out when I'm by myself. I don't like it if it's like in my own space and I'm trying to sleep or something like that. Or my story, one of my stories later that I will share, I was by myself and not expecting it or looking for it, and I didn't like that. So that was unwelcome. But it wasn't, I don't think it was anything sinister. It was just creeped me out because I wasn't in that. Yeah. And then also what Beth was saying about, the rats or things like that or bugs being creepier. Like there were places where we were in Fort Mifflin that were really tight spaces also that you had to climb into. And that
was rough.
Uncomfortable too, because that's like a, more of a safety issue. And then spiders, I don't like spiders. So it's dark and you can't see and something touches you and you're like, okay, was that like paranormal or was that a an insect. You know.
I think
Okay.
also I've been scratched before,
Yeah,
and
that's not
that's
pleasant.
not fun.
quite unsettling.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
When an unseen person.
the other thing
Yes.
was you had your name.
Yeah, one time and this was when I was home alone, a man said in my ear, Joe. And I was like, nope, don't do that. Don't say that. Do not talk to me. Do not whisper in my ear when I'm alone. And he never did it again. We did hear from him again, but not when I was alone.
Yeah.
George says, bugs, rats must have been in my third wife's house. That was Deborah. We talk about her a lot on the podcast. Joe Conchel said, he's married to Nadine now, though, who's a keeper. Joe Conchel says, bugs and rats are more likely to hurt you than a ghost. Exactly how I feel, Joe. That's exactly what I mean.
Okay, so if you want to enter the giveaway
Good.
right now and you haven't made a comment, go ahead and just do #ghost and enter the comment. Just that. Okay. And you don't have to say anything else. You don't have to.
Because we'll be doing a giveaway very soon.
Yeah, in just a couple of minutes here, we're going to do our
Shall
first
we
giveaway.
bring up Robin and Joy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We have
Let's
two
bring
guests.
them in. We have two guests
Today with us. Both are authors.
Yep.
And
both of them you
there's
know.
Robin Madrich. Robin was on our Meet the Author podcast, episode 91. And Joy York, she's an author as well. She was on episode 86. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Welcome.
You know, you can really blame Joy for this because she told us such an exciting ghost story that I said to her, hey, if we did one of these, would you like to be on? She said, sure. So, Joy, would you like to share that story with us right now?
Sure. Let's see. In my kind of through my life and my time with my husband and I, we have been transferred and so we have lived in like 5 different homes that we've purchased through the years. And so we're very attuned to, I guess, after looking through so many houses every time that we moved locations, and is that, you know, a house has an aura. And so we always, you know, have moved into a home that, I mean, it's not necessarily about, it could be a beautiful home and it just not feel right, you know? And so this home, we really, I mean, it felt great. And we thought it was perfect for us at the time. And when, after we'd been in for probably a couple of weeks, the pictures, like in the dining room and in the hall near the family room, started falling off the wall. And I mean, they would just bang. And it started like at night. And we would get up and go look, and the hook or the picture frame the hook that it stays on was there, but the pictures were on the ground. And so my husband bought some new ones because we couldn't figure out why they were falling, and everything was fine. And then the same 2 pictures would alternate dropping, and then they started dropping sometimes during the day. And then I started hearing things. Our bedroom was downstairs, and there were other bedrooms upstairs, but it was just my husband and I in the house. And we started, you know, it's like somebody was walking upstairs, and I go upstairs and there wouldn't be anything. But there was no like ominous feeling or anything. And it was just kind of an annoyance. And occasionally, like, you know, you have something and you think, oh, I laid my glasses there or something. And my husband would always yeah, you just remember you moved them. But sometimes those kind of things would happen. And so they just kept periodically happening. And my husband and I went on a vacation, and he is a stickler to make sure that we both have the keys to the car. So if we're, like stuck in Kiowa Island and one of the keys is gone, we can get in. So we looked all over for the keys, and I could not find my keys anywhere. And he said, they're in that purse. He took my purse apart on the dining room table, felt all in it, and turned it inside out just about. And he's like, okay, they're not there. We're just going to have to go without them. When we get back from the trip, I came in with some of the luggage and put my purse on the dining room table and went back for another load. I came back in and put something on the dining room table, and my keys were sitting on top of my purse. And I'm like, was like dumbfounded. And then my husband came back in, and I said, look, and he said, oh, you found the keys. I'm like, no, I didn't find the keys. The keys were just lying here on the purse after I laid it down. So it was just, there were these things that were happening. And my brother stayed the next time we went on vacation, so the dog wouldn't have to go to the vet or be boarded. And he was there. And when we were on vacation, he called, and he's like, your pictures fell down last night. There's some, and when I'm downstairs watching TV, I hear something upstairs. Your house is haunted. And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, this is the last time I'm staying in your house. This was creepy. And actually, when we came home, these pictures, he left them on the ground. Or there would not be a chance of them falling. So I thought, okay, well, this had been going on for a few months. And so I had heard that, maybe that somebody, I didn't know that anybody, the couple that were there, I didn't know that they had any death or anything in the family, but I had seen when we first looked in the house that there was one bedroom upstairs that had men's clothes in it. So I started looking, and I found out that one of them's father had passed away within like the last year and a half to 2 years. And so I don't know if he was actually living in the house at some point or whatever, but I thought maybe he was, or maybe he, it said in this article that I read, because I'm like, what can you do? And it said sometimes that relatives that have passed away don't know that they've left. And I thought, okay, well, my husband thought I was crazy. So I waited till he was not there. And I had the man's name, and it said, sometimes you just need to tell him to go. So I had his name, and I walked into every room of the house, and I said, like his name. And I said, so-and-so and so-and-so no longer live here. And you need to go. This is our home now, and we don't want you here. But I'm sure that you can find them. And I just very nicely went through every single room in the house. And like I said, when I told my husband when he got home, he's like, oh, you're crazy. We never heard another thing again. We never had a picture drop. We never had anything. Nothing. It was just like nothing. Gone.
And that's perfect. You did exactly the right thing.
Yeah.
Yes. We tell homeowners all the time that you have to take charge. This is your home, and you have to have a conversation and tell them if you're not comfortable with them being there, ask them to leave, tell them to leave. So yeah, you did exactly the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's kind of like a blind thing, because you don't know if you're just being silly or, if it's really something,
It's better safe than sorry.
I think it's the way everybody feels, though. They feel like, I still feel that way when things happen. I feel like, am I imagining this, or, is this really happening? And, because we don't really know, do we? I mean, we investigate and we believe that there are certain things there and stuff, but it's nothing that you can quantify, and you can't prove it scientifically.
Yeah.
Which, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Yeah, you can't. There's no way you can prove it.
No. You want to do the first drawing?
Yeah, let's go ahead. We've never done this before.
Right,
This is a brand new thing for StreamYard, too.
That normally watch our podcasts are going to see this for the first time.
This
We've
is
never
giveaway
tried
number
it
one.
this way.
So don't laugh or anything if it goes belly up.
Right. Winner is Paul Hollis.
Yay!
That was cool.
Hey, it
That's
worked.
cool.
Okay, so in light of that, let me get if you win one of the drawings, please email your mailing address to lesgre28@aol.com.
And that's Les.
That's Les sitting right there.
Les Gregory.
Yeah. Okay.
So send him your info, lesgre28@aol.com.
Okay.
And
Yes,
Paul,
we still use AOL.
we use AOL.
We do too.
We're old people.
It was about the same time that the Tampa Bay Spirits was founded.
In the
1891. Yeah. You're a wiener.
yeah.
Yay.
Yay. That's all right. We're gonna have two more
fun.
drawings.
It
That
worked.
was
It actually worked.
fun.
I can't believe it.
We didn't think it would, but it did.
Yeah.
That was our first chance, or first try at doing that.
Okay.
That is really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, I think we leave that.
Want to do
there.
another drawing?
Want to do it right away?
Yeah, let's do another drawing. Let's see what happens. You guys ready to do another drawing? Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was the first drawing for?
Stickers.
The stickers first. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
George!
Yay, George.
Hey, George won. Okay.
All right.
So,
Same thing. Send it to Les. And if you don't remember what his address is, just let us know, George, and we'll make sure he gets your info.
Yeah.
All right.
actually, we have your address, George.
And that's for
That's for
magnets.
the refrigerator magnets.
Refrigerator magnets. The next drawing is going to be for a mug.
Coffee mug. Yep.
All right.
All right. Phew.
Let's see.
All right.
So, Robin, would you like to tell your story? And then I think next we'll tap Jesse.
Okay. I need a drink of water. Hold on one second.
Okay.
All right.
I've been silent too long.
In the green room, you know.
In the
there's
green room, where
no water
with
in
my
it.
snacks.
All those
Oh, wait,
snacks.
this
We're a great host.
Okay, well, this happened a long time ago. I was only 10 years old. And my grandmother, my aunt, her daughter, and my aunt's daughter and my grandmother's son had moved from where they'd been living to another house. And it wasn't an old house. It was only like 35 years old. And we went to visit them. And every time we went to visit them, I was the type of person who was very, very shy. And if I was in the bathroom using it and somebody walked past, I couldn't. But when I was at my grandmother's house, I wouldn't close the door. I was afraid to be in the bathroom. And I didn't understand why. And then if I had to take a bath or a shower, I would insist on a bath, and I'd make my mother come in and sit with me, which was like totally not like me at all. And this is, I think I forgot to tell you, Robin, Joe, my cousin also who lived there, very much younger. She's 8 years younger, but she used to draw at the dining room table, and then she would turn and look at the bathroom, and she would run away screaming, and she would run to her mother, and she'd be crying. So this went on whenever we went up there. The bathroom was like a hated place. I would get cold, and it was just horrible. And then one weekend when I was there, there was a trundle bed in the one bedroom, and it was down low to the floor. and I looked, I could see, just not what I wanted to see at all. I could see straight down the hallway to the bathroom, and this floating thing about that large, it was like snot green, came floating. It was like glowing snot. It came floating out of the bathroom down the hallway, and I couldn't even get like a sound out of my throat. So I pulled up the covers, and I'm not sure. I'm assuming maybe I fell asleep. Maybe I just laid there. I don't remember exactly what happened, except for that I spent the rest of the night under the covers, and they moved out. I don't know. I think it was before the next time we came up, and got moved into a house across the street. And they found out afterwards that the tenant had killed himself in the bathroom. So I think it was just the energy that had me so scared, because I had a lot of other experiences and they've never frightened me, but I was also very young. And I think it was just that very sad and, desperate, dark energy that did that. And that's my story.
Wow.
And this is one that I think we're all, very used to, that where there's been trauma, that you'll often find an entity there. And I think Robin is also an intuitive sensitive. So yeah. She doesn't like to say it, but she is. So yeah. And I mean, I wonder if those of you in the audience have ever had that experience where for no reason there was a particular room that you didn't like to go into or you hated to go into. But we have 2 more comments, and then Jesse will ask you to save your story. Marjorie Daring said, I imagine if you have a nice ghost, they will leave if you ask. If they're unpleasant, maybe not, yes or no. We all know that answer, don't we? Yeah, some of them won't leave. A lot of them definitely are not nice. And let me bring that up. I think we're all agreed, everybody on the team, that we don't run into a lot of demons and stuff like that. That doesn't happen. But just like there are nice people and not very pleasant people, we do run into some quite unpleasant people that are dead people.
Yeah.
It takes a little more work to get them to leave your home.
That's right.
Yes.
So Jesse, you want to tell your story, and then we have a bunch more comments too.
Sure.
Great.
I was going to also mention that, Joy, when you were talking about your story about the keys, that's actually something I've heard over and over again, where people will look everywhere, or even kids. Like I've heard people talk about, their retainer when they were a kid, and their parents got so mad at them because they lost it, and they swear to their parents, I've looked everywhere, and I swear. And then they'll come into their room and it'll be sitting right in the middle of their bed, and what is that, And it makes me think about like a lot of Irish folklore about fairies or sprites or mischievous spirits and stuff like that, and maybe there's some kind of correlation there or something. I don't know, but it's interesting, and that's something that I've heard multiple times over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's common in a house
Very
that's
common.
being haunted.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share one story that I mentioned earlier, where I was not on an investigation. And in fact, I was like your brother, Joy. I was helping take care of my sister's house while she was out of town. She had dogs, and she was only out of town for a couple of days, so I wasn't staying there. I was coming over to the house several times a day and letting the dogs out and making sure they got to play and had water and all that stuff. And I went into her house, and I was on the phone with my mom, which is Joan, And and my mom was talking, and I was letting the dogs play outside, and I was leaning against the kitchen counter just listening to my mom. And out of the corner of my eye, in their front room, because I was in the kitchen and there was a doorway to my right, with like an archway, an open doorway. It didn't have an actual door on it, so it was just an archway. And that there is a dining room there, and then their master bedroom. And from left to right, I saw a white figure walk, like very clearly, like clear as day, walk from left to right in that room. And my mom was talking, and I was not. I sat up, like I stood up straight up because I was leaning on the counter just listening to her, and I stood up and I was like frozen, like what was that, and I thought, because I thought there was someone in the house, right? And I was there by myself. And so I walked in to see, I got the dogs to come in first, and I walked into the room and there's nothing there, for them, nowhere for anyone to go. And I looked around and there was nothing there. There were no people. And I went and I looked around the house, and my mom was still talking. And I was like, silent. Like my heart was like going, what? Because I thought there was a person in the house with me. And I got the dogs to come in, and they were acting normal, like nothing was strange. And I shut the doors and I locked everything up, and I got outside. My mom was still talking. And I got out into the driveway, and I was like, oh my God, Mom. I had never experienced really anything quite like that before, where like it wasn't like, oh, a car had driven by. It was during the middle of the day, by the way. It was bright outside. It was like noon, and I had never experienced anything like that before, where I quite legitimately thought there was a living person in the house with me, that wasn't supposed to be there. And so that really, it got my adrenaline pumping and my heart pumping. And yeah, so that was one story. And that's what I was mentioning earlier, when I wasn't in an investigation. I wasn't looking for or inviting anything like that. And so I don't think it was anything sinister. I don't know what it was, but it certainly got my attention, and it startled me for sure. And I didn't appreciate that, so that's one of my stories. That was like kind of the first experience like that I had that was so visceral that it really caught my attention.
And like you said, you weren't investigating, it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a whole different thing. Joe Conjal has a quick story. I'll put it up here for you to see. About a year after my dad passed back in 1997, my mom sold the house that we grew up in. Our old neighbor told my mom that the new owners swear that she saw a man inside a closet in one of the bedrooms. It was an unfinished closet that my dad was working on when he passed. My mom believes the man in that closet was the spirit of my dad.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think that was probably right. Don't you agree, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Very much.
Oh, no, she already said that.
And George Dismuke says, do any of you think that ghost spirits know that we are here, or do they exist in a parallel world? It's a good question,
Great
George.
question.
Great question.
Mm-hmm. You want to take it, Beth?
Well, I've heard a theory that is very interesting that says that ghosts are in a parallel world from us. And a lot of times when we see them, a lot of people report ghosts that are hovering a few feet above ground. And they feel like that's a different realm, a different, parallel world to ours. And so I thought that was a theory that was really interesting. because otherwise, why are they all floating around?
Right.
And yeah, I think that could possibly be. I believe that there are different realms where we do see elemental beings, such as fairies and gnomes and that type of being.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Jesse wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, we have one more giveaway coming up. So if you haven't done a comment with a hashtag ghost on it, go ahead and just say hashtag ghost and enter that comment. So you'll be eligible to win a coffee mug.
Okay. And this is our daughter, Barbara. And she's saying, our basement in Caroline, New York. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, that's, yeah, that was, I wouldn't go down there. And Marjorie Daring, it was a very old house on the historical register. Marjorie Daring said, that's what I thought. Oh, okay. And then Barbara said, yeah, the mirror. Yeah, I remember now, Barbara, that did happen. The mirror I told you about that disappeared in our house that hung in our entry hallway never came back. It just disappeared one day and has never returned.
Oh, wow.
Weird.
Oh, yeah. And she said the captain from Puerto Rico. That's, yeah, I don't think we'll tell that story tonight.
Maybe on the next show, right?
Yeah, maybe the
Yeah.
next show.
It's intriguing though.
I did hear it.
It was very crazy. Yeah.
I did hear an interesting story that goes with what you were talking about, Beth, where someone saw, they went to walk into their kitchen and they not only saw a woman doing dishes there, but the kitchen looked different, like around them, where it looked almost like a 50s style kitchen. And she was like startled, when she walked in, and the woman doing dishes turned and was startled by her, and then it dissipated. And that's kind of like an interesting time with that theory. Like, what if that was an overlapping, right, of like a parallel dimension or something like that, or another where we're both kind of slipped over each other, where they're normally like this and they went whoop, and they could both see each other. I don't know. That's interesting to think about, though.
It is interesting. I think that the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman really did a good take on that theory. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
George Dismuke says, in my opinion, they do dwell in a parallel world. Otherwise, there would be more meaningful contact, dialogue. Once again, my opinion. Yeah, really, George. That's probably, and we've talked about this as a team. It's one of the most frustrating things is when we're trying to contact an entity when they won't contact back. They'll make sure that that they're there, and then you say, can we help you? What do you need? Things like that. There's no answer, and then sometimes we get lots of answers. So it can be a frustrating thing.
And there's also, like in Jesse's story, where she experienced the figure in the house, that could have been a spirit just passing through. Didn't necessarily mean that particular house was haunted,
right?
But that spirit could have been. I mean, they go through walls; they're not bound by that. It's not like you close the doors and you've got them stuck in there. That just isn't real. So, and I think we often think that they're all the spirits are bound in the place that they're in, and that's not necessarily the case.
No, but I think some of them are bound.
Some of them are,
but
a
lot of them are not.
But it's not necessarily the case, right?
Yeah. You were going to say something?
My parents lived in a home that was backed up against a funeral home, and they often had what we called passers through. It was just somebody different all the time, and they would see people or know that people were there in different ways. But it was, I think it was because they were by that funeral home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had that in our apartment in Miami,
Mhm.
where we had people just passing through.
Just constant.
You think about it, all the houses, all the apartments are all stacked together and stuff.
And a lot of
so-
people had been lost who hadn't been,
Mhm.
no one
Yeah,
even
from-
know that they were lost from Hurricane Andrew.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were a lot of them coming through.
Was that rather unsettling?
Yeah. It was, it really wasn't, because none of them were ill-intentioned or anything. It would just that you would see somebody walk through and you'd be like, okay, it's sort of felt like we were living in a highway. As a matter of fact, a man in the apartment next door to us passed away,
Mhm.
and we saw him come through.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was very weird.
Yeah.
Unexpected too.
Yes, we were like, and then we found out he'd passed away.
Right.
Joe Conchel said, have any of you been to Gettysburg to investigate, and what, if any, was your experience while there? Woohoo!
How much time
We all have.
Lots of activity in Gettysburg. When we went, and we were staying in a hotel that was next to the battlefield, and it was the outskirts of a battlefield, but it was part of the battlefield. And we would come in the evening, and you could just look and you could see figures moving about on that battlefield. We've taken pictures of them, and it was just so interesting. At so many times that I would say to Les, is that guy real? Because they have reenactors also, and it was hard for me to tell the difference sometimes.
Do you see him too?
There's a lot of that. Do you see that? Are you seeing that?
I see nothing, so I can tell it.
Yeah. Les goes, I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I don't feel anything.
Yeah. I don't get scared because I see nothing, I hear nothing.
And we'll all be saying, did you see that? Did you hear that?
I think the only time I was ever scared was we went to Ohio State Penitentiary, where they made Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And okay, we're wandering around through that place, which is huge, all night long in the dark. And every now and then you would come across one of the characters that was in the movie, a cut out of them, full size. Okay, so before I realized they were there, I come out of the steps and stuff and around the corner. Yeah, this
That would be unnerving, wouldn't it?
was a cutout, but it scared the fire out of you.
I hate investigating in forts and places like that, where they have mannequins, because really it does. Every time you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh, stupid mannequin. And dolls. I really, no, don't like
Dolls
dolls.
are terrible.
Oh yeah.
Don't like them. Paul had asked us to talk about equipment and stuff. Does anybody want to talk about? Robert White says, first of all, he said our apartment in your parents' home was like Grand Central Station for spirits. And then he said, be like Schultz. I see nothing. I see nothing. Anybody want to talk about some of the instruments we use and how we do an investigation?
That would be you.
Do we have any?
Oh my God. Do we have any?
Oh,
You
yeah,
want to
so-
talk about your tap balls?
I like them.
Tap balls are a lot of fun, and they light up, and they have a little bell in them also, don't they? And the spirits can manipulate them and move them around. So if we find an area that we think that there's activity, then we'll put them down and ask them to move them. And it's really fun when they do, and the
lights go
they'll
off
light
and-
up. And so, but it's always fun to talk about the cat balls.
The cat balls. We love our cat balls.
I think my cats would love the cat balls.
Yeah.
That's the high-tech.
Yes.
Yes.
Cats do like cat balls, oddly enough. We also have an SLS camera.
Mhm.
We have two of them, and it was originally a part of the Connect software for whoever made that Connect game, and Xbox, right? And so what happened was people would be playing with their Connect, and they would see stick figures walking behind them. So it does pick up human forms. So you have to know what you're doing when you use it, because if you point it at a chair, it's going to try and make a stick figure out of that chair. Or if you point it at like a bathrobe hanging in a closet or on a hook in a bathroom, it's going to try and make a person out of that.
Right.
So we ask when we're using it, if it is an entity, for them to wave, and they'll lift their arm up and they'll wave, and that's always fun.
Right.
We always get excited about that.
And then we primarily use the digital recorders.
They
We've
can't
got
see
several
what
of
you're
those.
pointing at.
No, I'm not. I will point at that in a second. And digital cameras. And we have several of those. We have a couple of these camera rigs that we use, like this one.
Liz has one.
Les has one. Yeah.
Rob has one.
Okay, and it's got the recorder here, the GoPro up here. It's got lights down here, ultraviolet lights,
Night
or IR
night
lights,
vision,
yeah.
IR.
and then a power pack on it as well. So it's easy to carry around with you all that equipment instead of having to have 15 hands,
Yep.
So those are some of the things that we use. What else?
REM pods.
The REM
REM
pods.
pods. Yeah.
So
Oh.
if an entity comes close to the REM pod, it will light up and sound off to let us know if we're in another room or something, that we can get to that
Up
room.
on the energy. Yeah.
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 And
So
I like
recently, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like a good old EMF detector.
Yes,
Yep.
we use EMF
EMFs.
detectors and Gauss meters.
And the flashlights.
And the
Flashlights.
Oh,
Simple
well,
routine.
we love the flashlights. I mean, we love that. So what we do is we set these flashlights up and we make them in the cheap kind used to be able to buy in any gas station. It's hard to find them now, but you could loosen up the front of it and they would just have to turn that to make it turn on. Okay. We don't turn them on, they're off, but they can turn them on and they can answer questions like yes or no. And it's really a lot of fun. Two more questions here. Are the places you investigate mostly places you've heard of and want to investigate on your own? Or do people call and ask or hire you to do an investigation for them? First of all, we don't charge any money.
No money.
And every time we travel someplace, it's all on us. We pay for everything. And so you want to take that, Beth? Or
Sure.
Liz?
We do also in-home investigations as often as we can. Since COVID, it's cut down quite a bit. People are not calling to have people come into their homes as much anymore. So it's slowed down. At one point we had every weekend of a month, we were investigating in homes. And so we had no time to go to public places. Now we have more time to visit some of the public places, which are fascinating also. But I think our hearts are really with wanting to help people in their own
Residential.
home and do a residential.
Yeah. I know I love that. Oh, did we just put that up? Need
Yes.
help in the Tampa Bay area? All inquiries kept confidential. Contact Les at lesgre28@aol.com or Kristen at kreinIsch2@gmail.com. Kristen isn't on today, but she is our researcher. And she's not a sensitive,
No.
but like I said, I think anybody can be a sensitive. So,
She's as sweet as I am.
Can you tell one of your stories? One of the two.
One of my stories.
You don't have to. If you don't want to.
Which one?
Either the restaurant or the house.
The
with your grandma.
restaurant.
Yeah. The counter with your grandma.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. This was a long time ago in San Francisco, and I was going through a very difficult time in my life. And I went out to have a cup of tea at a, like a 5 and dime back in the day. They used to have those, and they'd have a little lunch counter. And I had a grandmother who had passed away, and she and I, when I was younger, used to go out for tea together all the time and have a cup of tea. She was Irish. Have a cup of tea and like a muffin or something like that. She loved that all the time, going out to tea rooms and having tea. And sometimes we would go to Woolworths and we would, go to the lunch counter there. And so I stopped in at this lunch counter and I was having a cup of tea. And my grandmother, Lillian Donovan, used to, she rinsed her hair purple, as women back in the day used to do. And she'd always wear a purple hat and a purple coat and purple shoes and a purple dress. And she always wore Evening in Paris. That was her perfume of choice. So I'm sitting there at the lunch counter, really going through a lot of things in my mind, very emotional, trying to keep myself in check because I was out in public. And a woman came up and sat down beside me, and she smelled like Evening in Paris. And I turned and looked, and she was dressed all in purple like my grandmother. As a matter of fact, she looked like my grandmother. And she reached over and touched my hand, and I physically felt her touch my hand. And she said, "I know things seem bad now, but it's going to get better. It's going to be all right." Well, at that point, when that person was kind to me and there was physical contact, I lost control of my emotions. So I turned away from her and I looked down at the counter and tried to get myself under control. And then once I did, I turned to thank her for her kindness, and she was gone. So I said to the girl who was behind the lunch counter, I said, "Where did the lady go that sat down beside me?" Because, I wanted to thank her. And she said, "I didn't see anyone sitting beside you."
Ooh, I had chills.
Yeah. So
That's a neat experience, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was my grandmother, because she also came to my sister at a difficult time in my sister's life. So, yes.
That's a great story.
Yes.
I know. And I love my grandmother. Oh, this is a question for all of us. Was there any specific type of event that happened in your life that set you on the path of paranormal investigating? Good question.
I married her.
We should tell you that Kathy and Beth are sisters. So I think the same thing set them on the path. What was that, ladies?
Well, for me, it was family members that had passed would come and visit me at night and tell me stories. And Beth and I shared a room. So I might have been excited for the stories and the visits, but it freaked her out a little bit at first.
Under the covers.
So that's what started it, is I would always have visitors that would come and see me. So, yeah.
Jessie, I think, was born into it because she had us for parents.
Yeah.
For me, I started seeing things when I was about 7. And, I was constantly told there was nothing there. And, now if at the age, at a young age, if I had the wherewithal, I would have said to my parents, "Then you tell that to the 10 people that are waiting to talk to me in my bedroom." And then There's no such thing as ghosts, and I will be very happy if they will go away.
I got into it by marrying her, and so I already had paranormal experience seeing a UFO. So yeah, it was very crazy. But we're not talking about UFOs. So,
but that was our first investigation.
That was our first investigation.
46 years ago, going out to Arizona to where a lot of the UFOs were being in the middle of the desert all by ourselves with nothing but crickets.
Yeah, it was.
And now I know more about UFOs and abductions. I think, boy, that was the dumbest thing we've ever done in our whole lives.
Pretty much.
Here we go, because I don't want to be abducted. Paul Hollis says, do your electrical power packs ever immediately drain during a contact?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fully charged cameras will just stop. We had a camera at one point. We were just touring St. Augustine, and we went to the cemetery that's at the city gates, which is so haunted. And I was taking shots with my camera, and Les was taking them with a 35 millimeter camera. And when we got them developed, we ended up getting what are they called? The panorama, the very long.
The panoramic view.
Yeah. And that they developed for us. And our camera didn't really have the capabilities to do that.
I love that.
Okay.
But it did. Let's see. Marjorie Daring says, my son had a paranormal experience years ago. He rented a house and found toys left in a closet. One day he started taking the toys out and distinctly heard the voice of a little girl say, "Who is that, Mama?"
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kids are tough. That's tough for me.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a last call for hashtag ghost. Okay.
Do they need to do hashtag ghost again?
I don't think so. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but I mean, if anybody's joined us, you can do it from LinkedIn. Just do in the comment section, do hashtag ghost. You can do it from YouTube or either one of the Facebooks. Go ahead and do hashtag ghost, as long as you've given StreamYard the permission on the Tampa Bay Spirits group. So we'll go ahead. You want to give them any more time, or have they had enough time? What do you think?
Go ahead.
Let's just go ahead.
One last drawing. This is for a Marjorie. Yay.
Celebrate.
Okay. Again, you want to put up the bubble with
Yes.
what's this information?
It's under here. All right. If you win one of these drawings, please email your mailing address to lesgre28@aol.com.
Yep.
And he will sort you out.
Awesome. I'm so glad everybody won something.
Yeah.
All the people that won. We should do this again another time. Marjorie says, yes, yay.
Yes.
We're not get in the drawing, right?
What?
So we can't
yeah.
Right?
No.
I don't think so.
Right.
Oh, we have a question for Jesse.
George Dismukes. Okay, Joe has a question for Jesse, but first George said, only had one experience, heard ancient Mayan voices in a Mayan temple atop of a pyramid.
That's cool.
It's very cool, but let's tell you, it was during the rain, and I think that he said the temple was made out of limestone.
I think so.
And
he was
all water, limestone. You heard something, George, no doubt.
Speaking of places with energy, right?
That's a lot of energy.
can't get much more
Right.
energy than that, I don't think.
Oh, I can answer that, Joe, but I'll let you ask Jess. Question for Jess. Is that a surfboard behind you? And do you surf? Just curious.
It is, and occasionally, yes. Not as much as we would like to, but yeah. Husband, kids, and myself, I'll do.
Fun.
So, Joy, do you have any other stories you'd like to share with us before we end up for the night?
Well, I mean, I came from Irish grandmother that told us stories, and a lot of, like, for years they had they were from Ireland, and maybe had some of those little fairies in their background. But I've been listening to things that have happened to my relatives where they have seen different ghosts through the years. And most of my things have been precognition type things, where I had feelings about an instant feeling about something, or knew something, saw something, and then found out that it had actually happened. But I think, and y'all kind of touched on this earlier, I think there are a lot of things out there that people can see, but they don't want to see. And their logical mind will not allow them to really explore what that is or what that might mean. And they can find a way to rationalize it because they'll think they're crazy or something. And I think that, the more, as you said, the more open that you are, there are, I think that there are, little like signs from the universe, and just things that if you opened yourself up to, that you would see, and are messages from people that are trying to give you little nudges or warnings or things like that. So, and maybe that's just my imagination, but that's what I truly believe.
I agree with you 100%. George has one more comment. He said, all ancient Maya structures were made from quarried limestone. So
there you go.
I thought that's what he had said.
Right,
so it's
right.
limestone and water, and those are both really good conductors.
So
of energies.
I was going to say, Joy, to piggyback on what you were saying, I think that finding somebody that you can share those things with, that's a safe place for you to do that, where they're not going to like think you're crazy, right? Like for me, like I know I can share with my husband, or I'm fortunate to have a family who's very open to, well, at least some of them are very open to hearing those things, but it can be really validating when you can say, hey, I got this feeling, or I heard this, and then those things do happen, and you can know that I'm not misremembering that. I told another person and they know that I heard that, right? Mom, and Dad, I'm thinking about when I have 2 children, and before I had my daughter, she's my youngest. I was walking into work one day and I heard a voice in my head say, this time next year, it was March, and the voice in my head said, this time next year, you'll be holding your healthy, happy baby girl. And it was like, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm walking into work, and it was so clear, like that is the sentence I heard. And I texted my husband that, and I also told my mom, and I was like, that's wild, right? I wasn't pregnant. We weren't quite trying yet and everything. Well, my daughter was born January 22nd the following year. And so, because I told them that, it was so validating to go, I did hear that. I knew I heard it, and it's pretty cool. So it can be really validating if you have a safe person to talk to about it, and if you want to develop that skill or experience that, it can be really cool.
Yeah.
I think we're
Good
gonna
advice.
go ahead. That was it. Okay. Joe Conjal said, I think I told Robin Joan this once before. When I'm sitting in my family room, I occasionally see a glimpse, or it feels like that anyway, of someone passing by the doorway in my dining room. Yep. I'm sure you're seeing something, Joe, you know.
Robin, do you have any additional stories you would like to share?
Actually, after what Jess just said, I'm going to add something like that. When I was pregnant with my first child, I had gone, had my first appointment, and my second appointment was coming up, and the doctor's office called and said, we just need you to move your appointment from next week to this Monday coming up. And she didn't say anything else, and I went to bed, and I had a dream of a conversation that I had with the doctor where he told me that they did some blood work and stuff, because I have issue with my kidneys, and that he said to me in the dream, we've got the results back. It's too dangerous for you to continue with this pregnancy. I have to recommend, as your doctor, you have come first. I have to recommend that you terminate this pregnancy, and all this stuff. So in the morning, I told my husband, thank God I told him that. I told him that exact dream, and he said, well, that's nonsense. Don't worry about it. He was sitting in the office when the doctor said those exact words to me.
Wow.
And I didn't do it. I said, I don't care what you have to do. Keep me alive.
Oh.
But if I hadn't been prepared, I don't know how I would have reacted hearing that. But I was told that a lot of stuff will come to me in a dream, and a dream that I remember. And thank goodness I told him, because then when he sat there and heard it, he was like, holy crap.
Yeah. And it's really validating, right? Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, you heard me say it,
Yes.
Well, without revealing anybody's stuff, I know that I said something about someone that I had seen and talked to, and Kathy said, oh my God, I did too. It was, do you remember what I'm talking about, Kathy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we both looked at each other like, that was great for me. I don't know about you, but for you to have spoken to the same person was so validating for me that, that is.
Yeah, and it was for me too, because it's, I mean, it is hard, you just think, did I see this in a movie, or did I, did this really happen? I mean, it's so hard. So when somebody else can validate it, it does feel amazing. Yeah. And it does, you feel crazy.
You do feel crazy.
Yeah.
And this has been going on. I'll be 76 in March, and I've been seeing stuff since I was 7. I still think I'm crazy. It's like, which is why I think when we're on an investigation, we're like, did you hear that? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
we're looking for validation from one another.
Okay, Joe Conjal just said, what a fun and interesting night. Thanks for doing this, and I hope it's not a one and done. Yeah, we're thinking of doing this again. So
if you enjoyed it, even if you're not watching this live, if you're watching the replay on it,
let us know.
Let us know
at Tampa Bay Spirits Facebook
on the Facebook page. Let us know. Make comments and let us know, and we'll somehow gather ourselves together and try to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you're watching in the Tampa Bay area and you have activity in your house and you'd like us to come and check it out,
or you know someone,
yeah, let us know. We'll come and do it for free. And
you can find us on our website as well, Tampa Bay Spirits 1, the number 1, Tampa Bay Spirits 1.com. We have a store there, which helps fund our investigations and keep us going to some degree. Every little bit helps there.
Yeah, because we're an LLC and we have certain
certain business expenses we have.
Business expenses.
Mhm.
Oh, CW said I subscribed and
Yeah.
liked.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Hollis said, excellent, informative show as always. Thanks, everyone.
Realistic
Thanks.
dreams.
Thanks, Paul.
Ooh, that was good.
Oh, Joe Conchel said next time we need to get into realistic dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really that'll be a really good area to talk about.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
I think that kind of wraps it up. We went over as usual.
Yeah, as usual. Anybody else have any last things they want to share?
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
I was going to say, Joy, you're the author of, what's the name of your book? Can you tell us?
Genuine Deceit.
Genuine Deceit is your most recent one, and the
The
Bloody
most recent
Shoe
one, and the Bloody Shoe Affair.
Affair. Okay, that's a very interesting one. And Robin?
As Joe Ellen Ash, I write young adult, The Shadows We Make, and it's the first one in the series. And the Thrice Gifted Child just came out, and the third one, oh my God, I'm forgetting the name. The Sleeping Myth will be out in July.
Okay.
The Thrice Gifted Child is out now, everybody. So
yes.
There you go.
Good.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
listening. And all of you just stay right there. We'll be back with you in a minute. And as far as the audience goes, we're going to say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for
Just have an
listening.
outro to show, and we'll be right back with you guys.